Yeah. So, how old is this guy even? He's probably like
He's 33, I believe.
33. Okay. Well, they say they want them younger, right? Yeah, the politicians.
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting, Coleman, because you are a Gen Z white male. So you're the exact kind of voter that Zoran Mamdani did especially well with in this primary election.
Oh, yes.
So can I ask, how do you feel about a couple of his policies? Number one, do you think that we should make buses free?
No.
Do you hate poor people?
Also, no.
Wow. I'm getting that you hate. Is this some classism? Wow. Okay. Should we have government paid for childcare?
I mean, it shouldn't. Probably. I guess so, but it'll probably be of a lower quality than, I guess, private childcare. Yeah.
Okay. That was wrong. The answer is no.
Okay,
But
yes.
all right, should we have government-run grocery stores?
No. Yeah.
You hate poor people.
I guess so.
Well, all of these policies and more can be found with Zoran Mamdani's primary victory. So
Oh boy, yes he can.
So Zoran Mamdani is a self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist. I believe he is a card-carrying member of DSA, which is Democratic Socialists of America, and he recently won the New York Democratic primary, where he was running against Andrew Cuomo. Now, to be clear,
Yes.
I don't think Andrew Cuomo was the right pick either. I don't think there was really any right pick. You should vote for Curtis Sliwa. But, that aside,
Right.
I think that obviously this is just terrible. There were other candidates that were better, and frankly,
Like of the Democrats, you mean?
even of the Democrats.
okay,
yes.
yeah.
I mean, I think Andrew Cuomo on policy would have probably been better, but obviously, I don't really. I
That's
don't
saying
think.
a lot. Yeah.
God, I don't think you should vote for him. To be clear, that is not an endorsement. But yeah, I am impressed by how genuinely terrible a candidate the Democrats have nominated this time. Frankly, Zoran Mamdani, I mean, the government-funded grocery stores is insane. It's just a pilot program. It's still insane. He's completely economically illiterate. And I wish we had that same energy that we had in the 1950s of, like, no more communists. I mean,
Right.
obviously
Yeah, we
not
need
the same.
another Red Scare. Like, kidding.
And not endorsing another Red Scare, but I'm just saying,
Me neither.
I genuinely, I don't understand how we got back here, because wow. So, just to start, I think that obviously this is a sign of like this kind of populist wave that we've seen starting in 2016 with Trump, but it's continuing. And I think Democrats, it's kind of a sign that they want like more of the populism, the fighter, quote unquote. And you can see this by, what I said at the beginning, at the top of this episode.
Yeah.
It's 100% true, which is that if you are white, you are more likely than any other racial group to vote for Zoran Mamdani. If you are young, you are more likely than any other age group to vote for Zoran Mamdani. And if you are a man, you are more likely than women to vote for Zoran Mamdani. So this is This is a candidate who kind of got every single group that the Democrats failed with, like utterly failed with. I mean, young men.
That's fascinating.
I know, that is fascinating, right? Because you would think he would be different because he's a super progressive guy. But Andrew Cuomo actually won women, which is insane.
Let me think for a moment. I mean, are there any similarities to be drawn between him and like someone like Hassan Piker, perhaps?
I mean, you mean Mamdani and Hassan Piker?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mamdani, I believe, did like. I think he did a stream with Hassan. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would explain a lot.
He's very similar. I mean, to be clear, Hassan Piker. I'm going to assume everyone knows him, but he's a radical. Radical in so many different ways. Honestly, he leaves me speechless. Genuinely, he's extremely radical. I believe he's a communist. I believe he's like a self-proclaimed communist.
Yeah. I think there's like a new blend of, I guess with him, like the critique is Islam plus Marxism, right? Yeah.
And I wouldn't go so far as to ascribe everything radical about Hassan Piker to Zoran Mamdani, but it's not that far. I think that a lot of it is pretty insane. I mean, Hassan Piker has said that America deserved 9/11. So it is.
Oh.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that they're on the same page about everything. But I would say that he is generally, I don't think you should associate with Hassan Piker whatsoever.
No.
So anyway,
I remember like Hassan is like I know he calls himself like pretty much a Marxist, but he's like also a Muslim or too, right?
Yeah, I believe. I'm not sure if he's Muslim
race.
or atheist, but he's definitely like he's anti-Israel in several ways. I mean, people.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
People have called him anti-Semitic. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's so much going on there.
Okay. So I guess the reason why I draw that comparison though is like what else they have in common still is that they're able to attract young people.
Yeah. And young people, young men especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? I think it's just in part they somewhat exude masculinity. Like in a way, they're both like buff dudes.
Well, I don't know if I would. Yeah. Well, I won't deny it.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. I think aesthetics is part of it, but I also do think that there's this general energy among men that like the status quo has failed us.
Yep.
And generally, what do people associate the status quo with? Now, would I ascribe this? No. But what do people associate the status quo with? They generally tend to associate it with capitalism, which is why people are looking for someone who is going to reform. We have this like
they think the capitalist project has failed.
Yeah, and we have this like inside-outside politics. So if you're seen as an outsider, like President Trump, and now like Zoran Mamdani, I think you're more likely to win favor, especially with young men. So it is very interesting, and I'm heavily critical of both President Trump and now Zoran Mamdani.
Right. Yeah.
But it is interesting. Young men, I think, are looking for someone who is going to reform. I don't think that young men tend to think, obviously, us speaking as young men, that things are going perfectly for us.
No, job market kind of sucks.
Exactly.
Among other things, yeah.
That, among other things. So there are plenty of reasons why Zoran Mamdani has seemed to strike a chord, especially among those groups. Now, the other thing I want to discuss, because I am like particularly surprised, and not surprised, I guess, but just flabbergasted. I guess that's the same thing. But I'm genuinely like, it just, I don't like how Republicans have been responding.
Yeah.
To Mamdani.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
I mean, so to be clear, the response overwhelmingly from elected Republicans has been to criticize the fact that Zoran Mamdani, who is a Muslim socialist immigrant, and instead of criticizing the most radical part of those things, which is being a socialist, they have decided to criticize that he is a Muslim and an immigrant. Which is
not a great plan. Not a great plan,
right? So it speaks to the fact that we have like such ideologically bankrupt people in office because there's so much to attack about these policies. These policies are terrible. They will be terrible for New York.
And if you're smart, you can make the case as to why they're bad.
Yeah, and if you have principle, someone like Thomas Massey, I would trust, as we just did an episode on, to make the case against Zoran Mamdani about why he is a terrible candidate. But instead, we have these elected Republicans who are talking about 9/11 happened. It looks like we forgot. And that kind of thing, which is such a... I mean, if you really think that's going to work on New Yorkers, I mean, let alone on the American populace generally, but especially on New Yorkers, I'm at a loss for words.
I mean, because New York is pretty ethnically diverse, right?
Exactly. I mean, so many people know, Muslims, and now they're attacking him for being an immigrant. They're saying, should someone who became a U.S. citizen 7 years ago really hold this position of power? I'm continually shocked. Zoran Mamdani has lived in New York City since he was 7 years old. This is not really what you should be attacking him on because he has terrible policy. The terrible policy is right in front of us. It is antithetical
they should.
American capitalism.
I guess they could say, perhaps you can fearmonger, perhaps, or get a reaction out of your base. I guess talking on the Republican side by saying, here's how bad these policies are. So here's how they could look like. Just look at, say, I don't know, ex-communist country like China or whatever. But instead, they choose the more shocking thing, I guess. But it's like, let's associate him with 9/11. And
which is it's led to these actually like I think pretty funny meme tweets where it'll be this person and they're like saying, it's this tweet from Zoran Mamdani from like 2001. Yeah. Which obviously is before Twitter.
So like 2001, he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
What?
but it'll be this. They're jokes, right? So it's
Okay.
this meme from 2001. And it's like, wow, it looks like the Twin Towers just got struck, huh? And it's him tweeting that in 2001, which is obviously fake. And it's just again proving that, like, is this really what you want to go with? Associating him with, radical Islamist policy, associating him with Sharia law, associating him with all these things, when you could just criticize the policies. They're right in front of you. And I just wish we had a Republican Party that was more capable of just making an ideological and coherent case against socialism.
Yeah, I don't expect of all people Charlie Kirk to be able to do that, but instead he went the route of associating him with 9/11, and then proceeds to do like a whole episode on is Islam compatible with Western society. That's not the conversation you should be having. The conversation should be economic.
Yeah,
that's the
I mean, it is. Are we? It's funny because Zoran Mamdani's stated policy is that he wants radical queer liberation. That does not sound like Sharia law. That does not sound like someone who wants to enact radical Islamist policies. And so
it's something that's I learned a long time ago. It's a red-green alliance. What's the red? The red's Marxism, communism. The green is Islam, whatever. And this is what, because it's a form of mutualism where they both agree, okay, we don't like Western civilization. We want it to fall. So we're going to say put aside our differences on the social issues like LGBTQ and then align, as we're seeing now in modern day, to take down Western civilization.
And I will say, it does not seem like he is as much the green as he is the red, to be clear.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I really would like to see I would like to see more elected Republicans, especially obviously Curtis Sowah, who is the Republican nominee for NYC mayor. I would like to see them attacking both Zoran Mamdani's policy. Also, Eric Adams is running as an independent, who is the current incumbent mayor of New York City.
Yeah,
I'd like to see them attack him. I would like to see there be actual defense of capitalism out of the so-called conservatives.
And we have like so many different think tanks, I guess, on the Republican side that you normally they don't get a lot of action. Like, I guess with the exception of say the Heritage Foundation, like a lot of them, like the Bastiat Society, the John Burke Society, like they're great and all, but like a lot of what they do is just like confine themselves to, I guess, an inside group. They don't, unfortunately, make a lot of effort to breach the outside. Where I could see them making a lot of progress here is saying, hey, let's work on messaging Republican Party. But instead,
and as you said with Charlie Kirk, his organization is founded to defend markets, and obviously we've seen this with the tariff situation. I don't think that it's entirely clear that he's still doing that, but I would at least hope that then when you have someone like Zoran Mamdani, who is obviously your political opposition and is also extremely radical in his policy, okay, go after that. Say, this is why his policy is bad. This is what the effects of his policies will do, especially if you're founding your organization in defense of markets. I don't understand why. It's such a. I mean, why do we have to make this plea to defend markets from the Conservative Party? I would really like to see a Republican Party that is unabashedly pro-capitalism and pro flourishing. I don't expect it right now. Personally, I don't expect it because this response is exactly why I don't expect it.
So I guess maybe it's a point to consider why the messaging took this angle. And do you think it's because of the current Middle East conflict between Israel and Iran that because this is the hot button topic, we're therefore going to use this hot button topic or broadly to attack now Zoran Mamdani?
Yeah, well, if that is the reason why, and I could see that, I think that's a fair point. But if that is the reason why, I think it's incredibly ironic considering, Mamdani went on the debate stage and basically gave a very Trump-like answer to when they asked him, what would your first visit be as mayor? He said, I'm focused on New Yorkers. I'm focused on New Yorkers of all kinds, Jewish New Yorkers.
Yeah.
But I'm focused on New Yorkers first and foremost, and I really will not be visiting a foreign country. Again, why should we care? You're running for New York City mayor. This is something, obviously, plenty to criticize with this guy. This is something that you don't need to criticize, is that he actually wants to stay in New York. Obviously, that should be the bare minimum, frankly, but every other politician on that stage said they wanted to go to some other foreign country. Obviously, probably part of the reason why he did so well with young voters.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. They want you to care about New York first.
Yes.
So anyway, I don't know. It would be nice to see a Republican Party that had that message and had that focus.
Well, let's see if they can fix themselves up after this mess. What I sort of expect is, like, if the Republican Party's smart, they would pick up their act, or like switch the messaging back to, I guess, economic smart critiques. Maybe get a little Scott Pressler, deploy him over there, help him fix this situation.
Well,
but anyway,
with that being said, thanks
thank you
everyone
so much
for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to email us, you can do so at youthbombs@alatrorepublicans.com. Thanks so much.
Oh yeah, and subscribe and like the video. Take care, y'all.